Hello, 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 hello. How y'all doing? Welcome back to the YouTubians. Welcome back to the Witchy show. Just, you know what? Welcome back. So what are we doing today? Well, we are going to make, or at least I'm going to show you how I personally make what I call a banishing oil. Now this particular type of oil you can use, I'm using grapeseed oil. I don't know if you can see that. If you can't see that, that's your problem, not mine. But I'm using grapeseed oil. God, I'm burping all over the place. Let's try that again. I'm using grapeseed oil. You can use like a thicker oil, like a walnut oil. You can use pretty much any kind of oil you want. This isn't really going to have an aroma to it, but it is going to be good in banishings. So a good example of how you might use this oil is that you would create a small pentagram, either out of salt or however you want to create it, and then in the corners, on each point of the pentagram, you're going to put a drop of this oil, and then in the center, underneath or on top of your petition that would be folded away from you because you are banishing something, you would burn a white candle. That white candle, as it burns down, because white candles, to me at least, emanate this whole concept of, like, to me, they have a protectiveness about them, and like I can feel with a white candle there's just like this bubble around it, and then when you light it, it's like that bubble just expands. You could use a black candle, you could use any color candle you want. I mean, you do you, I'll do me. So you burn this on top of your petition, and as it gets all the way down, it's banishing whatever is in your petition, it's banishing that negativity. You could also use it in jar magic, so you create your jar, and then you put your petition and anything else in there, and you put a few drops of this banishing oil, and then you put the jar somewhere that you want whatever to be banished. Let's say you have a next door neighbor in your house, not in your house, but like a next door neighbor to your house that you want them to move out. You could put this jar under their porch. And you know, you would infuse a candle with that oil, so you know, imbue or whatever, and from there, as the candle burns down, the jar's magic is working, so on and so forth. I will show you eventually how to make a banishing jar spell. I have one working right now that doesn't use this particular oil because I ran out of this oil and was like, oh girl, we gotta make more. So I was watching a whole bunch of jars, and then I thought, you know what, why don't I show the YouTubians how I make this stuff? Because, you know, it could be fun, you know, everybody can learn. So again, you can put whatever you want into this, make it your own, do whatever you want to do, but we're gonna be using my new fire oil. I haven't been able to use fire oil before for this. I've never really used a fire oil for this, so this is going to be interesting. For this particular one, we're going to do something a little bit interesting, a little bit more interesting than what's typical or normal. So let's get into it, okay? Okay, so what is the first thing that's going to go into our jar, which, you know, has a label on it, but whatever. I just kind of throw these jars in the dishwasher, and if the label doesn't wash off, then whatever, I'll just put like a label over top of it, or if the labels are getting, you know, built up on top of each other like this one, then I'll just end up like scraping them off with a knife. But, you know, in this particular case, I can just put a label over top of this, whatever. I've been reorganizing my herb jar, or my herb cupboard, because I've got so many herbs from Mountain Rose that I want to start putting them into jars, and then I'm also going through and researching magical and medical properties of these herbs for my new series that will eventually be coming out. And as I'm doing all of this research and stuff like that, I'm learning more and more about these herbs and all of that fun stuff. Okay, so let's get into this. So what is the first thing that we want to put into this banishing oil? Well, with everything you do, you need to put your intent. So You know, I will be taking a moment in between each of the ingredients and putting my intent into it. I'm not going to edit this video, so I don't give a fuck if it's too long. But we're going to put black salt, and this is my own recipe. There's a card that will pop up for a link to making black salt. It was one of the first videos I did. This shit is messy on your hands because there is charcoal in here. So I put about, I'd say a palm size, maybe a bit more in. You can put as much in, you can put whatever you want in here, but black salt is good to ward off, protect, and, you know, basically keep evil, quote unquote evil, but like negativity, people doing magic against you, it keeps them at bay. Okay, so we're gonna put rosemary in there because rosemary is good for exorcisms, it's good for protection, it's good for purification, it's good for cleansing. So when you banish something, you also want to cleanse and purify the space. So you could also use this oil around your house, you know, go around with one of these, put a couple drops in the corners, it'll banish negativity, it'll banish, you know, all of that just jazz. Usually on days where I'm feeling really shitty, or I just feel like someone's trying something, and you know, not everyone's always trying something, but if I ever feel like someone's trying something, or if I just feel really shitty walking away from like an online group that I've been talking in all day, then I will sage my whole place, so that works too. But I'm gonna put in, now there's already rosemary in the black salt, so you could skip the rosemary, but I'm gonna put in a good palm size of rosemary. In fact, you know what, I'm gonna do 2. I don't believe in doing exact measurements, so I'm not about put a pinch, put a tablespoon, yeah, put a tablespoon. Like, I'm not about putting a tablespoon or any of that jazz in. I'm just, you know, do what you feel is right. Now, I have not been putting my intent into this because I've been battling, so give a girl a moment. Okay. So the intent that you want to put into this, in case you're wondering, is that you want to put in the intent of, you know, banishing, protecting, cleansing, purifying, you know, just really removing those negativities. So the next thing I put in here is some white sage ash. Sage, as we all know, is good for protection, it's good for removing negativity, it's good for banishing spirits, it's good for basically everything. You could use this for everything. I'm just gonna put in about a good size amount. I don't really know how much that was, but again, we're going to enchant these now with our intention. Okay, so the next thing you'll want to put in, so we've already put our rosemary leaves, you're going to want to put in some white oak bark. White oak, basically any kind of bark would work for this, but white oak particularly has protective, it has healing qualities in it. It has basically all the good stuff. And bark, if you think about bark, bark is like a shield, okay? Bark is like the skin of a tree. It protects the tree's underlying shell, or like underlying skin, or just basically just protects the tree from the weather, from the elements, from nature. And the bark in here will also, as you banish that negativity, as you banish that, you know, whatever it is you're banishing, you'll also then protect yourself against future infractions, if you will. So let's say, for example, you have a witch who's doing magic against you, you know who it is, you might banish them, and then this oak will then resonate out a protective barrier around you and your space. So yeah, we're going to put our intentions into this. So again, give a girl a moment. So we're almost done here. The next piece that we're going to put in is some Blessed Thistle. Again, Blessed Thistle is good in exorcisms, it's good for breaking curses and hexes, it's good for protection, it's good for clearing negativity. It's just like the rest of the stuff we've put in here. That is the core purpose of why we've been putting all of this jazz in here. It's to really protect ourselves from basically the bullshit of the world. Okay, and again, we know the deal, we're going to enchant. Okay, and I don't know if you've seen, sometimes I will do this and it's just like, as I'm enchanting these herbs, there's so much energy going into it that I feel like my hand is bulging up, so I will generally go like this to make sure that that energy stays in there. And you really want to put your intentions and you're really focused on putting your energies into here, because, you know, if a banishing oil doesn't work, you're gonna know right away that it's not working, that it's ineffective. So make sure you're really putting your intentions in there. The last thing we're gonna put is cinnamon. Cinnamon is going to give this a little bit of a smell. It's gonna give it a bit of a cinnamon smell. Oh, this is St. John's wort. Before we put cinnamon in, we are gonna put St. John's wort. I forgot all about that. St. John's wort does the same thing. It helps to break curses, break hexes, undo crossings, to basically really help with that whole protective, that whole banishing, that whole let's get rid of the shit that's in my space so that I can do workings in my space. This banishing oil will work quite fast. You'll feel a shift in the energies and the vibrations. You'll feel things start to lift and things to become lighter and more. It's kind of like after you sage your house and you feel a lot better. Or at least I feel a lot better. So again, we're going to enchant. Okay. So now is one of the final parts, is we're going to put some cinnamon sticks in here. And cinnamon sticks is going to give it a smell of cinnamon. But as we all know, cinnamon is also a very good protective agent. So I'm going to put about 7 sticks in here. You can put as many sticks or as little sticks as you want. I actually don't know if 7 sticks is going to fit, so I might have to break some of these up, but I'm too lazy to do that. So we'll just push these herbs down into here. And I really want this to have I can't even speak. Words, people. Cinnamon. Oh, this is funny. A cinnamon stick smell. Oh, I can't even. I'm sorry, guys. I can't speak today. But again, we're going to enchant. We're going to put our energies in here. We're going to put our intentions in. Okay, so this last ingredient that I'm not going to need to enchant for is fire oil. If you haven't seen my fire oil video, here's a card to it. It basically is a very potent oil that adds potency to your spells and your rituals and your workings and so on and so forth. And basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to add about 4 drops. Actually, I'm going to do 5. If you don't have fire oil, you can watch that video and learn how to make fire oil, or you can just emit fire oil. Again, you can put whatever you want in here. The goal of the banishing oil is to help remove negativity from a space, to help protect yourself from any future negativity coming into your space. Now, this isn't going to be, oh, I'm going to put 4 drops around my apartment room or whatever, and then I never have to do it again. I would say do this every week or so in order to keep that bubble up, to keep that negativity out. I would probably do this every time after I have saged my place. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to put grapeseed oil in. And I'm going to fill it all the way up. Really making sure that I get everything covered in oil. And then I'm going to put the lid on. And I'm going to give it a good shake, but I'm going to do this over the sink just in case I put this lid on wonky. So as you're shaking this, remember, put your intent into it. Okay, so this is what it looks like. I don't know if you can see that very well. Can you see that very well? I'm looking at the camera as well. Yes, there's a label here. I'll just put a label over top of that. So the next step for this, and this is what I'm going to do after I'm done recording this, is I'm going to anoint a white candle with fire oil, and then I'm going to burn the candle on top of the jar. Once the candle has burned all the way down and burnt itself out, which is the key point here, then you're going to shake the oil every single day for 2 weeks. You don't have to leave the candle burning all day long. You can do this over a set number of days, you can do this over a week, you can do this over as long as you want. The candle can be a tea light candle, the candle can be a bigger candle, it can be whatever kind of candle as long as it sits on top of this jar. And what you're doing with this, when you anoint it with fire oil or whatever other oil you want, is that you're putting your intention of purification, protection, banishment, removal of negativity, cleansing the area, and really allowing this oil to get all of that potency, all of that intention, and it's going to be all put into this oil. And then as it burns down, it's going to infuse the oil with all of that magical intention. And then once the candle burns out, you shake the oil every day for 2 weeks, or as long as you want. And then you strain the oil and you put it in one of these, or you can do whatever you want with the oil. Again, these are just guidelines. They're not telling you that you need to do this. You do you, I'll do me. Anyways, so I hope that gives you some ideas on what you can do for banishing oil, and I cannot wait to see your guys' recipes for banishing oil and how you guys use banishing oil, or if you use banishing oil. Leave a comment, leave a like, please subscribe, okay? I love all of you, and until next time, my witchy friends, mwah!